Yo, what's up everybody? If you are catching this right now or later on today, this is just a promo just to give you an idea of what we're going to be talking about tonight live on YouTube. We are flowing through this Atlanta traffic trying to get to work on time. I don't know if that's going to happen. But tonight we're going to be talking about not what the story of Esther is really about, not the story of Esther, but we're going to talk about the historicity of Queen Esther. We're going to talk about whether or not the Queen Esther story is legitimately an account of history that was set in a time space. Blessings. I keep getting a bad connection riding through this city. Well, sitting here in this train. Okay, this little, I got some horrible. So we're going to talk about this thing tonight, whether or not it's that live, but we're actually going to break down some of the attributes that we're going to break down some of the scholar, you.com. That's mastering0@gmail.com. But yeah, we're gonna a lot. I restudied it again ever since the last podcast. If you guys were part of the last podcast, I appreciate you guys being there. Appreciate you being for every podcast. But we're gonna break the story, some of it, the attributes of the story. We're gonna look at whether or not it was something the outside writers of history in a somewhat of a relational recent time frame, and really break the story of Esther. It's always been an interesting story for me because as a youth, I a lot of engines and and many other battles that participated in. So militarily, I from perspective of the, and as soon as I say it's buff real bad, if you I'm driving through that every 2 seconds. Yeah, but minutes while I'm heading into my gourmet popcorn shop. You can urpopcorn.com. The letter U, the letter R, the word popcorn.com. Change my bags though. Actually, I just came from. This is gonna be all my popcorn will be shipped this way in about a week deal. So I look forward to that new adventure. Some wholesalers to wholesale my popcorn in there. Look, I really look forward to this discussion tonight. It's not going straight up intellectual conversation about discussed in the book of Esther, about the culture. It's going to be about why, if the story is invalid, then why would they write it? Argue why women should only pick out certain aspects of this book, and the rest of it they should like kick to the curb. Because so Esther, that people don't really artistic license with that story, a whole lot of stuff. But it was a children's cartoon, so I don't expect them to be nitty gritty down to the core of the story. Kind of like that Boaz. I don't know if you saw the video I did, the gangster moves of Boaz and Ruth. It was gangster. So we're gonna break down Esther tonight. So I want to get that little promo out there for you guys to make sure you come out and join me tonight. And if you're on my Patreon, send me some ideas. Send me ideas that you want. It's mastering you, but it's the number 1 and 0. It's the number 10, 1 0. Don't spell out 1 0. So mastering you 10. Yeah, for some reason this is weird. I was doing a video call yesterday, and when I was driving through the suburbs, it was fine. I get downtown Atlanta, and all of a sudden, signal just acting stupid. So I'm in the middle of downtown Atlanta right now. So hopefully it'll stop acting stupid. I got to drive through the suburbs. Now, once I get to my store, I'm gonna have to like cut you guys off because I gotta go to work, and I'm gonna be late. But I won't be late tonight when we start at 9. I do got to figure out how to get this. We'll get it all set up so that I can start having guests on YouTube, on the YouTube feed. I know how to do it for Facebook, but not for YouTube. And I know how to do it for the blog talk radio, but not for YouTube. So I think I need some software. Good morning, Rashonda. But did you get that, Avra? That is masteringyou10@gmail.com. Look forward to hearing from you. But I want you guys, even if you're not on my Patreon, send me things subject matters you want to cover, show ideas. And I love to have show ideas. And the thing about it is that I want the channel to be for you guys as well. It's not just about talking about the Temple of Wisdom and alchemy and hermetics and discussing different, wisdom philosophies, but it's also about subject matters that you guys are interested in. I'm gonna talk about relationships and tantra and business and credit and money. I mean, we're gonna have those conversations as well. But there are specific things that you guys are interested in. Let me know, because we can make those into shows too. That's funny. Now, this is interesting. Now, I've been getting a lot of hate from the Christian sect over the last few weeks. Some dude is like seriously writing storyboards on one video. They watch one video and think they know who I am. One video and think they have an idea of my knowledge base and that sort of thing. And then we got Tyrese Evans. See, whether you realize it or not, Tyrese, that's a magic spell. That is witchcraft, according to your book. Right? According to your book and according to all books, that's witchcraft. So you're practicing witchcraft by doing an incantation of God will bind me. And since you did it in all caps, according to American witchcraft, you're just binding my straw man. How about that? You're just binding my straw man, but not the real person is what you're trying to bind. But it's so right, Tyree, cast that the darkness leads you into the light. That in your darkness, you find light. You don't know. It's amazing. You know who I am. Okay, tell me who I am. Where was I born? Where was I raised? Who's my family? What's the environment I was raised in? Did I go to the military? Did I not? What branch was I in? Who were my friends? Who were the people I was around? Tell me all those things since you know me. Since you know me so well. God did not send... Right, because you and God, you got God on the main line. You got God on the main line. And you can't even talk right. God did not send you. You mean God did not send you. Like God did not send you. If you're going to cast your spells, you need to use the exact words because otherwise it doesn't work. Right? When you're casting spells like that, Tyrese, you got to use the exact words. All right? If you say God did not send you, right, then you're using it in the past tense, so you're kind of like messing it up. You have to say God did not send you in your all caps. Right? Make sure you draw your salt circle too. I'm not talking about that. Yeah, whatever. Why did you put advertisement on your page? What advertisements are you speaking of? Cult 108. If you're talking about YouTube advertisements, YouTube does that. My page is monetized. If you're talking about the fact that I own a gourmet popcorn shop and I have a coaching company, I own a gourmet popcorn shop and a coaching company. Why wouldn't I? I'm building the Temple of Learning. It takes funds to do that. If you're talking about when other people send me some of their products and I discuss them, to me, that is what we should be doing. We should be promoting each other's businesses. Because as much as we share knowledge, we still need to finance things we want to do to bridge the gap between people and to get understanding and to change the oppressive nature of the world. And we're not going to do that broke. It's not going to happen. Tyrese, whatever okay, you know what I'm talking. No, I have no idea what you're talking about. So unless you speak plainly, I have no idea. See, the thing about it is, like, you're trying to know what God's mind is saying using your telepathy. I don't know what you're saying. I can't read your mind. My name is not Kreshkin. So unless you got something to say, say it. Instead of just spewing out some old basic stuff. You know, God's gonna bind you. I've been walking around since I was 9 years old saying the same stuff. I've been up and down, talking to people, learning. Sorry about that, guys. Went through this part of the city that's called the Seven Bridges, and signal went away for a second. But I'm lying to people. So a person walking around talking about some snakes that spoke in the garden and the world was submerged by water, when evidence shows that there were Minoan societies, Egyptian society, Chinese societies, Mayan, and other societies before the flood and after the flood. They're telling the truth, but I'm lying. Sure, but yeah, you got foolishness all up in you. Like I said, I bless you in the darkness so that it may shine in the light, because you need to sit in darkness before you can come into the light. Don't agree much with Coach Renz ideas, but Joestar. And you know what I love about Joestar is the fact that we don't agree on certain things, but we still are cool and respectful towards each other. I love that, because no matter what you do, you're never going to be in total agreement with anybody. I mean, listen to Christians will come on here and talk to me and say everything they want to say. But when do you see, do they go to the Muslim page? Do they go to the Hindu page? So the full majority of the world disagrees with you. But if a little girl is sold into a sex slave trade, she's sold into the sex slave trade. I don't care if the person next to me. That's why people can't get nowhere. Learn how to spell. I don't have time to deal with these folks. I'd rather deal with people who are trying to do better and do things, and I'm done with it, folks. I don't believe in God. Are you a sinner? No, you're not, or not. It's a made-up creation to control you. I think one of the best things that's ever part of the American things, but let's look at that purity of that document, if what you're doing is not taking a right to life, liberty, and they were trying, what you didn't do is stop them from running their race. You didn't stop them from being able to the shoes, get in the block. You know, you beat somebody in business, you didn't trample on their life, liberties, or pursuit of happiness. Now, when you rape somebody, when you steal from somebody, you do all that. Now you're trampling on somebody's life, liberty. You make that decision. Now, whether I agree with that or something, if it's about sin, the more sins it can create, you know. So that's my thought process on that. We're indigenous, nothing to religion. So you know what did change in 1804? They country, and yeah, the world condemned them, and the Western world condemned them, and been hurting them ever since. But hey, it is what it is. It is what we'll be able to recognize that looking inside our goddess, and our divinity is inside ourselves, and we look inside ourselves and start to recognize that I'm gonna do what's best, and start to recognize that I'm gonna do what's best for me, but I'm gonna do what's best for me without hurting other people. Now, if you come to hurt me, I will defend myself. So if we take that mode of thinking, and buying the land in my community is best for me. Buying the businesses, having the businesses in my community is best for me. Controlling the school for me. Controlling the school, controlling the education, the police is best for me. You know, not sending them out to go my community. That's what's best for me. We do that. Then we step away from the mind control. You know, the mind control. I walked into this office, like sharecropping looking black family laying across her leg. He just got a little laying across her leg. He just got a little tunic around his waist and poor financially. It keeps our neighbors, the ashrams or the Buddhist temples. Yeah, they got their temples. Their temples are nice, but they build their communities too. They building their communities. You go anywhere else, they even it's amazing. They got their Catholic churches, but they building their community. They building it. Now, you can't deny that some people, okay, were there indigenous people in America who became slaves? Sure. But slave ships did come across the water from Africa. It is, we can't play this all or none. Sorry about that. My daughter called me in the middle of that. But let me finish this out before I pull up to my job, to my store. The slave trade throughout America is not an all or none. There were indigenous people who were made into slaves, yes. But also there were ships that sailed from West Africa that made people into slaves. All right. I've been off the coast of West Africa. I've seen some of the ships that sunk. All right. It's not something that you deny. All of us, everybody in America wasn't here already. All your ancestors ends. You got to do this all or none game. That's just division to in college. And I was telling him, loving the life. And I said, fight for indigenous grounds, for indigenous people. And that's cool. I ain't got no end of the day. What you trying to build? Want to get a casino? Are you going to get the academia behind it so that the American government will recognize it so you can then get the land? You know, fine. If you're going to go through that process, fine. But the arguing back and forth, yelling and screaming at each other, while at the end of the day, we need to build in our neighborhoods and not wait for somebody to hand us something because they still ain't representing land. And then we have to look at other countries where look and power. So all that other stuff, and for knowledge. But if we're not building, if we're not growing under the economic and military power of the, can debate it. But at the end of the day, let's put shit together so that we can build, because the past is working in the present in order to create for a future. Now, I'm already late. I got to go inside and start. You know, I hate that part of this discussion started happening towards the end. Discussion while I was making my way over here. And my daughter called me as well. We'll talk about that as a show. The enormity of companies and historical people, you got to also look at the first incorporations and that sort of thing. The fact that I met some of my family, my distant relatives, when I was in Italy, so I have to take into account. You have to look at African record as well. But like I said, let's learn something new. But get my life right, as some people say. Got to get my life right. And my daughter and I is coming tonight. podcast. At 9, we're going to break down the story of Esther and this lack of evidence that proves the story of Esther. So it's going to be 9 o'clock. It's going to be live here. I hope you for sure, but definitely there's a person that I would want to be with me to do a show about the indigenous conversation. And he's local, so I don't have to worry about having software and stuff. But we're going to have that conversation. We're going to do that conversation as well about the indigenous conversation. And if I have a little bit later on today while I'm working. Yeah, I had to look that up. Yeah, it's gonna get loud. For some reason, they play this music in here. It like gets on my nerves. But sometimes and everything. What's up, man? How you doing? You're welcome. Where we are indigenous from, because there it is. But, I mean, we have to talk about world migration patterns, that sort of thing, like where people have moved from, the different ice ages, and not just what somebody wrote, but what, the geography evidence, the science, we know that tectonic plates continues to move and separate themselves. So as they separate, it does give you the idea of Pangea. And even before Pangea, well, not before Pangea, but even with the idea of Pangea, how people moved across land bridges and whatnot. So there's a whole lot more to that conversation that starts. And that's always the thing. We can't start a conversation about historical stuff like that to as far as where people are from, and, from a time point in history that fits our narrative. We have to look at the whole scope of it. It's about the whole scope of the idea, beyond what fits our narrative. And that's what we have to be open to as well. Can you be open to if it don't fit the paradigm that you have? Let's see. Mang said maybe it all started here and people migrated elsewhere. It's a thought. That's a thought. So like I was just talking about the movement of tectonic plates. If you think that through, about it all starting here and everybody migrated, then you could go as far as to say that but see, there's no archaeological evidence of human existence during a time frame of a Pangea. All right, so us migrating, there wouldn't have been any humans to be there for the separation as the separation happened. Now, let's say the separation had already happened. There was already an Atlantic Ocean. Then that migration, that human existence, would have had to have started in the equatorial spaces. Like every animal on this planet is genetically born in an environment to which it could exist in his birth suit. So as we look at North America itself, there are very few environments where humans can exist with no shelter. So it's not going to be up in New York and all those northern places. So it will have to be like southern parts of Florida, like Orlando and further south, southern parts of Texas, the Caribbean islands, Central America, that whole Central America and northern part of South America, in order for that to be. And then, what's the migration pattern? And if they migrated, what happened? What happened to civilization? If that was the first civilizations, if the first civilizations were here, what happened to those civilizations? Uh, I mean, we can see the evidence of civilizations. We can go into this at the Absu of Central and Southern Africa, and we can see the human civilizations that existed 200,000 years ago, to which they originally thought were cattle um, crawls, but they, it's realized that they were human civilization, human crawls that next to these ancient diamond gold mines. We can see those civilizations, but we don't have that. There's no evidence of that here. So, and technology usually follows, the first ones. What animals cannot survive here in America? North Central. Well, no, I'm not saying what animals can't. Okay, so if a polar bear wasn't placed into a zoo with all this environment, it would suffocate. It would die here in Georgia because it's too hot, right? It would die. Then in the same way, an African elephant or an Indian elephant wouldn't be able to survive in Greenland or Iceland. They would die. They'd freeze to death because the skin of the elephant is not made to be in that kind of environment. So when I say animals, every animal on the planet is naturally born in a way that it can survive in its environment. If you research the Absu, Central and Southern Africa, you'll see that about 10, 15 years ago, they started realizing that these 200,000-year-old human civilization, spiral civilization next to these ancient gold mines were human civilizations. They originally thought that they were used for cattle, which still would show human civilization, but they realized that the way that they're set up and designed and that sort of thing, that is for human existence and not livestock. And actually, the crew of people who discovered that, they about to get killed because they are debunking a lot of the biblical stories by doing that. No, see, you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm saying all animals cannot survive here in America. They live where they can live in their environment. And I'm not using the same, I'm just looking at what's evident. You show me evidence of civilizations in America older than civilizations elsewhere, then I'm fine. I don't have predetermined landing points. And when you have a predetermined landing points, then you got blinders on. You don't see the big picture. I could care less, honestly, where civilization began. I really don't care. I could care less where people began when it comes to our current state of affairs. When it comes to our current state of affairs, what I see is black people in America and around the world, for the most part, being oppressed by a Western cultural, Western-centric white supremacist idea. That's what I care about. I care about where is the best chance for black people, what's the best situation for us to overcome these oppressions. And in today's world, right? That's what I care about. And see, that's the thing, Magdalena. Why do we have to resort to the derogatory? I mean, that's just like I can sit here and say to you that you're acting just like the Christians. When somebody doesn't agree with you, let me go to the derogatory. Let me be, angry and get into my emotions and have all these feelings instead of saying, let's have a calm discussion about it without having to try to downgrade somebody. All right? And see, I don't get into all these because, the out of Africa calling me Bible thumpers. Like, why do we got to go there? Why can't we just have a conversation? It doesn't make sense to me. When you get angry and start to have to say that, I'm out of here because you sound like these Bible thumpers and all that kind of stuff. Instead, present information. My forum is for us to learn and grow. But my primary for this forum is for us to grow in the present. It's for us to build in today. For us to stop being at the bottom end. We're the biggest spenders of fund of money. We spend so much money in America, but yet it doesn't rotate in our neighborhoods. You know, and these religions is the main thing that's got us doing that. Whether we're from Africa or from Americas, indigenous or not, that's not the biggest thing that's holding us back. Religion is the biggest thing that's holding us back. All or none game. Like, I can't deal with you unless we all agree. I'm not being sensitive. It's the fact that I don't necessarily like getting into these infinite debates of just going in circles. At the end of the day, those are things. It's great. We can sit and talk about it. You may be able to show that we are indigenous, and at the end of the day, I'll be like, "That's great. Okay, good." Now, black people are on the bottom of the economic scale. Black people in America are not financially as astute as they should be. We don't own our land. There are nations in the Caribbean and in Africa where they run the government. They run the police. Let's help them build those nations. As far as the nations of America and England and Germany and South America, Central America, where we have large groupings of black people, let's build industries in those countries. Let's build another economy within it, like other cultures have done, and circulate that money and support these other countries where black people are running things, where they can run their government and help them to develop into a bigger nation, a stronger nation, so that they can have more power on the world scene, right? Because unless there's going to be a race war in America, we're not taking over this land. Unless there's a race war, or even if you went the way of the Cherokee Nation, the Sioux Nation, and that sort of thing, they are still incredibly limited by the American federal government on what they can do. And many of those reservations are in horrible condition. Most of them aren't in the condition of the ones that have the nice casinos. And even some of those, they're doing a lot of their own people dirty. So my thought process is, let's build for today and let's build for tomorrow, right? So maybe I am sensitive about getting caught up in circles, because I don't think we have time for the circles. We don't have time for the circles. You know, we got to move forward, and we got to deal with the hand that we're dealt. Until we can burn the damn cars out and get a new deal. I read that in 1991. I read it in 1991. I think I read it again like in 94. It was one of the books that was lost in my library about 7-8 years ago. Well, that was, about 8-9 years ago, when my library got lost. Well, stolen, I should say, by movers. But yeah, I read that book a long time ago. So I don't necessarily recall many aspects about it, because I've read like literally probably a good few hundred books since then, thousands of articles, thousands of journals. So, but I do remember enjoying the book and liking the book. I do remember the book being one of those eye-opening books that helped me move forward in my thinking process back in the early 90s when I was still in the Marine Corps. When I just really came into the Marine Corps, and that's when I was doing a lot of my, I got opportunities to go to Israel, go to Africa, go to the Vatican, go to Mecca, a lot of these sites, Hadrian's Wall. Got a chance to really go see some ancient sites. That's when I really started first getting into archaeology, like physical archaeology, I was reading about archaeology before then, but that's when I was physically able to get involved. Right. Let's come together and build. You know, whose religion is real? Africa, black. And we have hell all around us, and that's why, you know, that statement right there. We have hell all around us. That's why I say that every book has some kind of wisdom in it, and I just take the wisdom out of it and throw away the rest of that crap, because that's what we have to do. That's why I spend most of my time just studying alchemy and hermetics, because, you know, hermetic laws, they just laws of the universe. It's just laws of nature. You know, cause and effect. For every cause there is an effect. For every effect there is a cause. We can talk about history all day, right? But the fact of the matter is, when you say what's the hellish conditions, why are people, heavily melanated people, living in a hellish condition in the majority of places in the world, living less than? What is the causal factors of that? What is the causal factors of us not being able to get together? What are the causal factors of us not being able to own our communities? Then, all right, we see what those causal factors are. We see we know the effect. So we discover the causal factors, and then we change the paradigm, change the causal factors. You know, we know conversation, but most people are walking around here with 500 credit scores and below. So if you're walking around with a 500 credit score and below, and we start talking about buy the neighborhood, you're not qualified to buy the neighborhood, right? Even if we own the bank, we still got to be responsible to shareholders, responsible to, I forgot what it's called, but there's another responsibility that you have to ensure that your bank stays solvent. You know, so you can't just give everybody to qualify. You have to keep the solvency of your bank if you want to keep the bank, right? Now banks can do it. The black banks can do a much better job of educating people and being more positive in them moving forward into getting themselves in the right position. But that's where our focus needs to be. Our focus should be, I mean, not just that one area. Our focus should be, let's get credit, let's buy houses, let's do business, own the car dealerships, own the boats, own the ships, own the planes, and work with other countries that's for us. All the help. Right. So, and that's my biggest thing. I get a lot of comments from people where they think I'm just trying to shut down their religion, just trying to be right, just being a demon, devil, whatever they want to call me. I'm just trying to take care of people. I have three kids. I need this world to be better for them. I need to have countries that they can go to and get out of this one and escape this one. You know, people don't want to get it right here in America. I ain't got no problem going somewhere else and being like, look, y'all want to get it right? Let's get it right. You know, if Botswana want to get it right, let's get it right. If Haiti want to turn and get it right, let's get it right. You know, I ain't got to be Haitian to go down to Haiti and work with them to do new fuel sources. I'm working with a group that's looking to replace their burning of firewood so they can stop chopping down the trees with solar grills. You know, so it's like, let's do that. Does it matter that I'm Haitian? No, it doesn't matter to me at all. I can care less. What I see is a country that is ran by black people, right? Like the president of Ghana, I see the president of Botswana. I see these different presidents in these African nations who are actually down for the people now and trying to eliminate all the previous corruption that other previous leaders have from the colonizing. No, you're right. Hell is all around us. Hell is in Africa. Look, I am not the one. I am a big proponent. I can't stand when I hear people talk about, oh, before the white people colonizers came in, this damn golden, blissful place, and we lived in such harmony and all this kind of thing. Or even in the Americas, before white people came here, the indigenous people lived in such harmony. No, they had wars and fought over land and resources the same way as anybody in any place. This whole everywhere, because we have the ability to make heaven and hell wherever the heck we want to make it. You know, we can make heaven and hell in America. We can make heaven and hell in Europe. We can make heaven and hell everywhere, right? What matters is We make it. We make it. And my philosophy on the whole thing is we can start to make heaven for black folks and anybody who want to join in America, the Caribbean, South America, Africa, England, China, the South Pacific, Australia. We can make heaven anywhere we want to. And that's my point, is to make it everywhere. Is to start coming out from this oppressive mind state everywhere, right? But we have to realize that we can have differences and still work together. Right. We're not living well. We live unhealthy. We eat crap all the time. And I'm not saying you can't have certain things. I'm fully vegetarian, but I'm never tell everybody else they got to be fully vegetarian. But you don't have to overeat. You don't have to eat all the poisonous stuff. You can eat better. You can do better. So, take better care of yourself. Take better care of your money. Take better care of your family, your neighborhood, your community. We can do that. Many people just lack the understanding for generational wealth and how to build it and how those change. Yeah, they do lack that because it's been a hustle. There was that time that we had to hustle. We had to, figure stuff out. We had to, do that under the table stuff. We had to do that bruh business. We had to do that kind of stuff. But if we want to truly attain power, we got to get into real business, the type business that the current world establishments understand and respect, because they don't respect it. We don't force them to respect it. And I'm not saying ask them to respect it, beg them to respect it. I'm talking about force their butt to respect it. That's what I think was last week or the week before when I was talking about, black leadership. Malcolm and Martin started forcing them to respect it. Huey started forcing us to be designed in such a way that the next man steps up, the next woman steps up, and we keep doing it. How you doing, Lydia? Well, my concept of heaven and hell is that it can be everywhere. It can be anywhere. And some people in America are living in heaven, while some people are in America living in hell. And they can live right next door to each other. Some people in the same household. One person is in heaven, the other person is in hell. Heaven and hell is a construct of the mind. Because I know people, I have clients. I ain't gonna say I know people. I have clients. They're living in hell. They're miserable. Their life is miserable. Their families are miserable. Their marriages just all jacked up. Kids messed up. They make all kind of money. They're living in hell. I got another client. One of my other clients lives right next door to them. Makes like loving couple. Their family is very loving. They enjoy every aspect of life. When they do get hit by something, their attitude towards it is so like, we just gonna make it work. We're gonna work through it. We're gonna get over it. It ain't no big deal. And they do it. And they just work through it. And they never lose sight of each other. They realize that their marriage and their family is forever. Where their job and their houses, those are temporary things. So, and they live next door to each other. And what's funny, the guy who makes twice as much, his money should put him in a whole nother neighborhood. But they living in hell. So that's what I mean when I say heaven and hell, same place. It's all in your mind perspective instead of coming for something. Yep. Change what's bad in your community. I agree with that. Still waiting. Oh, my bad. I apologize. My weeks have been crazy. Now that we can have that conversation. That'll be today. 365 Insight. That'll be today. My apologies for not getting to you sooner. But look, guys, I'm going to have to cut this off. I only meant to do this for like 20, 30 minutes. Now I got to the store. And judging by what I see, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. I got about 55 gallons of popcorn that I got to make. Yeah, I got about 55 gallons of popcorn down here. Nope. 60. I didn't see that one. About 60 gallons of popcorn and We're out of brownies. Man, I gotta make some brownies. So I got a lot of product to make, guys. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the good back and forth. Magdalena, I appreciate your back and forth. The other guy, not so much. So y'all have a great day. Remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. And please come check us out tonight on the podcast. Look forward.